Hello everyone, this is Akash here from BlenderSchool.cf, and in this Blender text effect tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create this chalk text effect using Blender. So this is a really interesting text effect, and as you can see, the effect is really realistic and it's really easy to create. I'm going to be using Blender version 2.77 and the Cycles rendering engine for this. We're gonna be using a few textures in this tutorial, so you need to download them before you can start following with this tutorial. So click on the link in the description, and from there you can download the textures zip file, which you need to use. And I also recommend you to watch the fog on glass text effect scene because it's a bit related to it. So yeah, let's get started with creating a new scene in Blender. So open up a new scene, and we're gonna use this cube as the room. So I'm gonna scale the cube first, so press N, change the dimensions, the X value to be 9, the Y value to be 9, and the Z value to be 4. So I will get a nice large room like that. And also move it up like that. That's fine. Okay. And I'm gonna add in the board now. So the main actually the chalk board, we're gonna add that in now. So I'm gonna add a plane for that. So press Shift A, mesh plane, and I'm gonna scale it by pressing S, then X, then 2, then enter. So now we have our plane scaled. Now I'm gonna rotate it by pressing R, then X, then 90, then enter. So now we have our plane rotated. I'm gonna move it near this wall over here of this cube. You have to be like really neat about it. I'm gonna add in a solidify modifier also now, just so that we have some thickness with this board now. So it's fine. I'm gonna hide this cube now because I don't need this cube now. We're gonna actually work on it later. So let's hide it and change the change the rendering engine to be Cycles rendering engine, and change the world's color to be a white color so that we have some basic lighting. We're gonna do the lighting later. We're gonna add an HDRI later on. It's nice HDR sky. So anyways, that's fine. Now let's actually position the camera. So I'm just gonna come in the camera view, check lock camera to view option, and then I'm just gonna move the camera here just so that we have some nice basic camera view as well. So that now we can start with the material of the chalkboard, because that's actually the main thing of this tutorial, this text effect anyways. So now we have our camera also positioned, and that's looking good now. I'm gonna open up the node editor now. Okay, that's fine. And yeah, let's create a new material. So select the plane and click on new button. I'm gonna also name this chalk board, somewhere like that. Anyways, that's fine. And now we have a default diffuse shader node. Now we can set up the color for our board now. So if you want, you can create a black board using black, nearly a black color, like a gray color, or then you can create a green board, which also looks cool. So I'm gonna actually create a green board, but you can experiment with the black board as well. So to get the exact color of a green board, I'm gonna click on this hex button right here, and then paste in this code, or just type in this code, which is 3B653D. And this code is going to actually give us the proper green board color. So as you can see, if you go to rendered view, as you can see, it's a nice green board color. I'm going to also set up the viewport color also to be this color itself, so that now we have a nice green board. Now let us actually add in the texture or the chalk color also with this on this board now, because now it's actually perfectly clean. So now let's add in the chalk color as well. I'm going to duplicate this diffuse shader by pressing Shift D and Y just to move it down. Place it here, just below it. And this one is actually going to be the color of the board, and the color of the previous diffuse shader now should be a nice white color, because chalk is generally white. But if you want, you can create a different color chalk as well. But I like white. It's fine for now. It's fine. Okay, so we're going to use the white color. And then I'm going to add in a mix shader node just so that we can mix it. So press Shift A, shader, mix shader, place it over here, and connect them like that. And now as you can see, we have a nice mix of green and white colors on a board. So now we have the chalk color and the the board color. Now we need to actually control which part of the board is going to have chalk and which part of the board is going to be actually plain. So now we can do this by actually controlling this factor value of this mix shader. So if I increase it, as you can see, it's much more cleaner, and if I decrease it, it's white, so it's chalk. Now we can use different textures for controlling this, and that's actually what we're going to do. So I have created some custom textures which are actually going to work for this scene. So actually I created some custom textures because I couldn't find them, and so I created a few of them on my own by using this Photoshop brushes which I found from DeviantArt, created by Mattia MC. And yeah, these brushes are really cool. You can download and you can create your own texture, but yeah, I have created it, so you can download this and you can just use this as well. So once you have downloaded this, you can come back to Blender, and now we can use these textures. So the first texture which we're going to add is the math. So if I just open up and show you, this is the math texture. This is all the background text, if I should say. It's like the studying thing, like there should be actually a background text so that it actually matches a school scene, nice board. So I've created some basic math scene over here. As you can see, some random formulas I wrote, some graphs and stuff. So you can download and use this. And let's actually load this in Blender. So add in a mix shader node, not a mix shader, I mean image texture node. So by Shift A, texture, mix image texture, and click on open. Then open up that texture. It's called chalkboardmath.png, and then I'm gonna just put this straight into the factor and change the type to be non-color data. Okay, as you can see, there's not much change. It's only now green color. What we need to do is unwrap this plane now. So before unwrapping, apply the rotation and scale by pressing Ctrl A and selecting rotation and scale option. Then come in the edit mode by pressing tab, press U and select unwrap. And that's unwrapped now. And if I just go to the rendered view mode, as you can see, now we have our math on the board now. And the reason I had to apply the rotation and scale is because without applying it, since we have a rectangular plane, the unwrapping will go wrong, and there won't be proper projection of the texture on the plane. So now it's fine, and now we can easily control this image texture itself. Now we need to control the image texture color so that we can control how much we have chalk, how much we have the board and stuff, and all this stuff like that. Anyways, yeah, so now we can control the contrast, or the, as if I show you these textures, all these masks are actually black and white. So we can now control the colors. So we can like decrease the black color, the amount of black, so we can control the textures, we can control the contrast and this and those stuff. So to do that, we need to add in a color ramp node. So press Shift A, converter, color ramp, and place it over here. And now I can just decrease the black color to be a bit grayish. Okay, so we don't have like too harsh chalk like that. That's fine. And let's actually control the mapping of the texture as well. So before that, we need to add in a texture coordinates node. So press Shift A, input texture coordinates, place it over here. I'm going to connect the UV over here, and press Shift A, vector, mapping, place it over here. Now we can actually control the mapping, the scaling, the size, and all those things of our texture. So yeah, it actually depends on you, like how you want to scale it. I think 1.1 is fine. Like I use 1.1 for my final scene, and it was actually good. And you can also control the location, the X and Y values, so you can control the location of the texture. So if you want to show this graph, you can essentially just control it. Now I'm just gonna bring it a bit down like that, a bit up. That's actually fine. We're gonna use like this. That's fine, I guess. Should be fine. Anyways, so you can just play with these values so that we get some nice some nice board ready. And anyways, the middle part over here is gonna be erased because we're gonna have our main text over here. So you shouldn't worry much about the center part. We need to worry much about these edges over here. So yeah, it's looking good. I'm happy with the projection of the texture now. So that's fine now, but now we have like a very clean board. It's looking as if it's like a print. So we need to add some dust on the board. Now generally if you write something using a chalk on board and then if you erase it, you're gonna still have some white dust left over on the board. So we need to add that in also to make it a bit more realistic. So to do that, I've created a separate map as well, separate texture, which is actually chalk dust texture, which is this one again, which I created using Photoshop with those chalk brushes. So we can use this in Blender now. Let's come back to Blender, and then I'm going to load that in. So I'm going to duplicate this image texture node by pressing Shift D. Then I'm going to move it up just like that. And I'm going to change the texture. So I click on Open button and select chalk dust.png. So this is the dust texture, and now we need to combine this math texture with this chalk texture, or the chalk dust texture to be specific. So to do that, you need to add in a mix RGB node. So press Shift A, color mix RGB, place it over here, connect it like this, and then set the type to be multiply. And you can also change the factor value to be 1. As you can see, you have got this strong chalk dust. As you can see, it's looking really awkward. So we need to actually decrease the opacity or the contrast of this chalk dust. So to do that, add in a color ramp node. So press Shift A, converter, color ramp, place it over here. Make sure the black marker is selected, and then click on this color value, and then I'm just gonna increase the value over here, or the white, and make it a bit more white. Okay, so if you click on the HSV button, you can change the value of this color. So I'm going to use 0.99, which is actually nearly white, not completely white, but so that we have really subtle effect. As you can see, actually I might go a bit more. I may go with 0.98 because why not? That's actually adding a bit more dust, so that's looking much better. But if you see now, the dust is really uniform, so there should be actually a bit more randomness with the dust. So what I'm going to do is actually duplicate this image texture, this chalk texture, and play with the mapping and then combine it. So select this image texture node and the color ramp node, and then press Shift D, select, just move it up like that. And then I'm going to also add in a new mapping node. So press Shift A, vector mapping, place it over here above this old mapping node, connect UV again, and then this chalk dust texture to the upper one, the new one, and connect it to that. And then we can also combine these two color ramp nodes or the chalk dust using this multiply node over here. So press Shift D, place it over here now, and then I'm just gonna combine these two again like that. And now if I see, there's not gonna be much difference. As you can see, it's looking really same. But now I can actually change the mapping of this so that it looks a bit different. It looks like some parts look a bit darker and some parts look a bit lighter. So to do that, you can control the location of the texture. So just play with the X and Y values. So I found out that 0.2 for X and Y works well. So let's actually try it. If it's looking good now or not. Yeah, it's fine, as you can see. And yeah, it's actually looking good now. We have some random chalk dust on our board, and it's looking much more realistic. Now we can actually start by actually rubbing out the part of the board where we don't want this math, so where we want our text. So for that I have also created a separate map again, which is actually this. If I show you, it's this chalk rub.png. So it's like nearly the reverse of the old texture, as you can see, but this one is actually going to cut out the parts where we don't want any chalk. So over there we are going to have like completely green board, and that is actually going to be the part where we are going to later have our custom text on that. So that's fine. Now again, let's load it in Blender. So I'm just gonna come over here where we have our math texture, the chalk math texture over here. I'm gonna duplicate this image texture node, so press Shift D. I'm just gonna bring it down over here, and then we're gonna add in that chalk rub.png image and open it. And Let's actually combine these two. So duplicate this mix node by pressing Shift D, place it over here, change the type to be add, and I'm gonna connect this to the bottom input like that. Okay, I'm also gonna move this this mix shader and stuff over here a bit, so we have some room to work like that. But I want to keep it organized and stuff, so it's gonna look a bit more neat. It's fine. And let's actually see what it has done. So actually it has done the reverse of what we wanted. As you can see, the part, if I actually enable the Node Wrangler add-on to show you a bit more properly what the effect it does. So if I enable the Node Wrangler add-on, yeah, there we go. Anyways, so yeah, if you see this texture, it's like this. So these are the black parts and the white parts. What Blender is doing is actually making the white parts as completely green board, and the black part as the part where we can have the matte texture. We want the reverse of that. So what we can do is actually add in a color ramp node and invert the texture itself. So press Shift D to duplicate this color ramp over here, and place it over here, like not lower there. Wait, Shift D and place it over here, and just I'm gonna click on this arrow over here, like this two-way arrow I should say, and then it's just gonna invert the texture. So if I just see now, as you can see, the white parts are actually black and the black parts are now white. So that's what we want. I'm gonna also change this gray to be completely black and change the interpolation to be ease, so that it's much more smoother at the edges, not that hard. So once that's done, now we can actually see what effect now we have with the mix shader stuff connected. So as you can see now, the middle part is completely free of dust, the text, the math and all those stuff. It's like we have just cleaned it to write our text specially. So that's fine, but still I want some text over here as well. It's not like completely clean, it should be a bit dirty as well. So I'm just going to decrease this FAC of add node. What this is going to do is actually going to overlay some of the matte texture over here itself. So as you can see, it's like 0.5, and as you can see, we have some of this matte texture showing up. So some of these values, some of the formulas and stuff. So I'm just going to like increase it to be like 0.6, because I do like the math also a bit, so it's actually gonna look good. And yeah, that's fine. We're gonna actually now overlay the original text which we want in the middle of the board. So now it's really simple. Now as you can see, it's looking really cool, and it's really simple. As you can see, the setup, we have like some 2-3 textures, and I'm also gonna actually decrease the color, increase the value of this color ramp node of this one. As I told, it's like 0.9 is fine, so 0.99 is fine, don't use 0.98. Yeah, it's actually fine now because it's like too strong, and I guess that's fine now. So yeah, that's fine. Now we have the basic node setup. Now we can actually go on by adding in a custom text in the middle, and this is actually the fun part of the tutorial, when you actually see the custom text added on the board. So what you need to do is actually create another texture or another map, which is again we are gonna combine it using the mix node with all those math texture and stuff. So as you can see, I have created a different map for this. As you can see, this one. So I'm gonna show you how to create this using Photoshop, but essentially you need to just create some text with some texture, like a noise texture on top. And I don't know if GIMP will do it. Probably it will, because it's really simple. But I'm going to use Photoshop for it, and let's actually go on by creating this custom texture. So let's open up Photoshop. So I'm going to start by creating a new image. So File, New, and then yeah, the width to be 2048 pixels and height to be 1024, so that we have a nice rectangular image again, because our board is also rectangular. So this is the new image. Now I'm going to start by adding in a new layer. So click on this new layer button over here, and then we're going to fill this layer also with a white color like that. That's fine. And now we need to add some noise on top of this layer. So I'm going to go to filter, add noise, and then click on add noise. You can now control, I don't know what suits best for like a chalk scene. I'm gonna use like some 308 as the amount. Distribution to be uniform, and make sure monochromatic is checked because we need black and white noise, and click on OK. So now we have a nice black and white noise added on this layer. Now we can click on the text tool just to add in a text. Now the font in this case I'm going to use is this Breeze font, which is actually a bit related to the chalk kind of effect. So you can download this Breeze font, but essentially you can use any font for this. I think I'm going to use this Breeze font anyway. So just type in your text. I'm just going to type in Blender School. Okay, and just gonna make it black. It doesn't matter, but it's fine. And then I'm just gonna press Ctrl T just to make it a bit more bigger, just because it's like really small. Just gonna like place it here, so it's fine. It's actually really big. Let's make it a bit smaller. We don't want it to be like too big, because later on we will have problem if we have to like rotate it and stuff in Blender. So keep it small, not too big, not too small as well. So that's fine, I guess, in the center. And now we need to select the text itself. So click on press Ctrl, then click on this text layer icon over here, like that. Left click on that. Now as you can see, the text is selected, and now you just click on this layer 1 and then click on this layer mask icon. This is gonna create a new mask for us. And if I hide this text over here, as you can see, now we have a proper text with some noise on it. So essentially when you write with chalk, it's not like really smooth. It has some rough edges. So this is gonna actually add that rough edges, and now it's looking really cool. Now you can also move around this text, and now you have nice custom text now, as you can see. It's looking really cool. And you can also add in a logo if you want to. So if I show you what I did, if I just open up my file which I created, yeah, this is actually the file which I created, the custom map. What I did, I took my Blender School logo, and then I actually just as a reference I just drew on top of it using the brush, the chalk brush which I told you to download. So this brush texture, this one. So I just used some black color and then just made some dark lines on one separate layer. So as you can see, just the parts which you want it to be a bit darker, I made it like completely like dark, and the parts which should be light, I made some lines on that. So that's what I did. And yeah, it also looks cool. So if I just show you, as you can see, it's actually big now. Just gonna, yeah, as you can see, the effect which it adds, it looks really cool. This chalk brush, it's actually 45%, so I'm just gonna make it that. Anyway, that's fine. I'm just gonna show you, like, you can do this, but I'm not gonna add in the logo now and stuff because it took me a really long time to create it. So you need to be patient with it. As you can see, you can like create some nice like that, and then you can use a bit more smaller brush just to add these lines like that. So that's what I actually did, and it took me a bit of time because it's really actually do it by hand to make it realistic. So take some time, try to do it, and if you have any logo you can do that. Otherwise you can keep this text itself, or if you actually want to create some simple graphic like simple shape, you can use this custom shape tool, and then yeah, you can actually use this custom shape tool to create some shape. So yeah, if I want to like create this, what should I create? If I want to create this nice spark kind of shape, I can create it, and then again you can apply it as a layer mask and stuff, just I showed you for text. Do that, and yeah, you have the text. Now you can actually save this, a file, save, and then yeah, we can now use this in Blender. So come back to Blender, and now we can add in the text. So yeah, where I was, okay, there we go. Anyway, so now let's duplicate this image texture node, place it over here, just like that, and then click on open your map which you created, open the texture. So this Blender School.png texture is not going to be included in the texture zip file which I told you to download, because this is actually the custom which I made. So yeah, you need to actually be creative and write your own text. And yeah, open image, that's fine. And to combine this with the rest of the map, you need to use the darken blend type. Okay, so duplicate this mix node, so press shift D just like that, place it here, change the type to be darken. Now I generally don't use darken blend type, but I actually found that this blend type worked for this kind of scene. And yeah, as you can see now, you have this text showing up, but it's like really subtle, so increase this FAC to be 1, and now as you can see, it's like completely seen. However, this is like really soft, so I'm just gonna make it a bit more stronger. So I'm gonna add in a color ramp node for that. That's in a color ramp, and I'm just gonna like make it a bit more stronger, like such, like that. That's fine. However, it's like really small now, so now we can actually control the scaling, the rotation of this texture of our text. So as you can see in the final render, I have it like rotated, and this actually makes it look much more realistic, because generally you can't write like something completely straight, and it looks really good as well because it covers the entire rubbed part. So that is what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna actually add in a new mapping node. So shift A, vector mapping, place it over here, and I'm just gonna put this UV over here like that and connect this to the image texture. It's fine. And also for the image texture, I need to actually change the extension to be extend, because if we set it to repeat, if we're gonna like scale texture, it's gonna repeat the text, which we don't want. So choose extend, which is much better than clip also. So just change to extend now, and now we can actually control the scaling of this. So if I want, I can increase the scaling. So I'm just gonna actually decrease the scaling to make the text bigger. So I'm gonna use like 0.8. Let's try 0.8. Yeah, 0.8 is fine. We can also rotate it. So yeah, I guess Z value is actually fine for rotating it. Yeah, as you can see, it's now rotated. It's fine. And now you can set the location. So you set the location of the map somewhere like that. Let's use minus 0.05. That's fine. I guess it's a bit too big, so I'm just gonna increase this value also. It's looking a bit smaller. Let's use 8.5 and try. That's fine. Yeah, that's actually fine now. Wait, let me have a look at it. It's still a bit small, which I think it is, because my final scene I had it like nicely big. Yeah, let's actually use 0.8. Now let's try 0.75. Oops. I want it to be look a bit bigger. That's fine. That's actually looking much better. I hope so. Anyway, let's see. Let's use 0 now for the x. So as you can see, if you like update one of the values, you need to like update all the other values as well. So I just experiment with it, and you're gonna ultimately find some value which is gonna actually work with it, and I'm actually happy with it. But the only thing is I need to make it a bit more stronger. Just gonna like move this over here. Yeah, that's fine. It's looking good. Anyways, that's fine. Now we have a nice text also on the board. So that's nearly the material is now complete. The only thing now left is like you can add in a color ramp node to control the final FAC, the final contrast of the map. So you can like increase this so that if it's a bit more darker, it's a bit more stronger. Yeah, it's fine. Now I can decrease this one a bit because now this is too strong. Yeah, that's actually fine, it's looking good. Anyway, that's fine. So now we are done with the material. It's actually, as you can see, 30 minutes in the tutorial, just the material, and it's actually time. The material is the one which we need to make it look good, because that's only the thing in this tutorial. Now let's focus on completing the rest of the scene now. So yeah, let's do the lighting now. So come in the worlds panel, click on use nodes, click on this world node tree button. So now we can load in an HDRI. I'm gonna click on this color button over here, like this dot icon, and change to be environment texture because we're gonna use an HDRI. And click on open, and this HDRI which I found was from SIBL HDR Labs. It's called Monument Valley. Yeah, Monument Valley, I guess. Monument Valley Dirt Road. So yeah, it has nice clear sky and some nice morning lighting, which is what I actually found looks cool with this kind of a scene. So I'm gonna open image, and now if I go to the rendered view mode, you can see now we have our HDRI. It's casting some nice lighting. But the lighting is not actually proper. Blender is treating the entire texture as one light source, and the energy from all the directions is same. So we need to make the energy from the sun over there to be much more stronger than the environment lighting. So to do that, we're gonna add in a math node. So Shift A, converter math, place it here, change the type to be multiply, and then connect it to the strength, duplicate this, and then actually I'm going to show you what this thing does. So as you can see, it has actually, let's actually wait for it. Yeah, as you can see, that's the sun, and now we can control only the strength of light which is coming from the sun. So I can decrease this value to be like 0.2 so that we have a lot of light coming from the sun. And now I can actually add in this math node over here to type add so that we have some environment lighting as well. So if I go to the rendered view mode, we should have some nice lighting ready. Yeah, it's looking good. We can also add in the room now, which was the cube which we like, which is now hidden. So let's unhide it over here, and it's like completely dark because we don't have any window in the room. So for the window, I'm just gonna like cut out this section of the room over here. So I'm just gonna add in a loop cut, or I guess let's actually delete this face itself. So X faces, and I'm just gonna extrude this face a bit over here because it's like, yeah, we don't want it to be like fully full window. It's not like that big as well, so that's fine. Let's see how it looks. So it's looking good, but I guess the direction of the light is not proper, because it's like completely straight. So when you rotate the HDRI a bit, so add in a texture coordinates node first, and then add in a mapping node. So Shift A, vector mapping, connect the generator to the mapping node, and then this vector to the environment texture node. And now you can just increase the Z value just to rotate the HDRI. Yeah, you need now experiment again with the mapping value just so that, yeah, it looks good with the scene now. I don't know, this is looking good. It's like taking a lot of time to render, I don't know why. And that's actually fine, but yeah, but there's a lot of noise. So to remove the noise, open the settings of the worlds and then make sure multiple important sampling is checked. And yeah, that's actually fine. I'm happy with that. And yeah, the lighting is also fine, but it's like too subtle at the moment. So I'm just gonna increase the multiply value to be 0.5 and the add value to be 1, or I guess it's like 2 right now. Let's use 0.3 itself for the multiply, and the add I guess is fine. And now we need to control the colors as well of the scene. So open the scene tab and open the color management section, change the view to be fill. So it's gonna make it a bit more darker. So now you can increase the exposure a bit, not too much, and decrease the gamma also. Okay, I guess I don't know, you can also increase it. That's actually fine, that's looking good. And the world is a bit noisier, so I'm just going to increase the multiple important samples. I guess it's fine itself, so let's not worry about all those things. And yeah, let's actually now add in the frame of the board. So as you can see in my final render, if I guess I closed it. In my final render, as you can see, I have this nice wooden border around the board. If we just leave it like this, it's going to look really awkward. It looks actually incomplete, so let's actually create the border for this. For that, let me actually confirm the thickness of this board. I'm just going to come in the right view, and then I'm going to just increase the thickness a bit using this sort of modifier. I'm just going to make it touch the board like that. It's fine. That's fine. Now let's actually work on the wooden border really quickly. So let's add in a cube. So pressing Shift A, mesh in a cube, and then where is it? So here, let's actually reposition it over here. So Shift A, mesh, cube, scale it by pressing S and then Z, make it shorter, and then S and Y, like such. And let's make it a bit smaller, and then X, so that's a bit outside like that. That's fine. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. Let's decrease that a bit. So we have some small border there as well. So that's fine. We have this nice wood now. Now we can apply some material to this as well. So quickly some new material. Let's add in an image texture node again, and then let's unwrap this. So I'm gonna press Ctrl A, rotation and scale, view, and then unwrap. I think did good with this, really quick. I'm just gonna open up the wood texture. Now this wood texture comes from polygon.com, which is a new texture site created by Andrew Price. And so you can download the diffuse, the normal map, all of the for all the textures. I've chose this wood flooring 18, which looks good with this kind of scene. So I'm gonna use that. So load in the color or the diffuse map like that, and yeah, you can now see that it's loaded. It's also applied. It's looking good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to control the colors of this texture a bit. So Shift A, color, hue, saturation. Just going to place it here, and then I'm going to decrease the value and decrease the saturation a bit, because I don't want it to be like too bright, because generally the frame of board is not that strong, not of that strong color. Value I guess is a bit less, should be fine, at 0.6. Saturation, yeah, it's fine. Let's actually use saturation to be 0.95, because we don't want it to be like too strong as well. Anyway, now let's add in some bumps on this texture as well. So duplicate this image texture node, place it over here, and then load in the normal map. Add in a normal map node, so Shift A, vector normal map, place it here, and then connect it to diffuse normal, so like that. Now we should have some bumps on the surface, and yeah, make sure it's non-color data, otherwise it's not gonna load it properly. Yeah, now we should have some bumps on the surface. Now decrease the strength a bit because it's like too strong now. Let's use actually 0.6, that's fine. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually control the mapping of this as well. So quickly add in a texture coordinate node and the mapping node as well, and then UV, and then this to be both of the image texture nodes, because we want the both of them to have the same scaling. And then I'm going to actually increase the scaling of X to be like 1.2, so that the texture is a bit stretched, because I don't want it to like have some small wood, because it's like a wooden bar, so it shouldn't have like small wooden pieces. And I guess that's fine because it's looking good itself. That's okay, that's fine. Now let's actually duplicate this and create the complete border. So press Shift D and then Z and just move it up like that. Scale it the Z so that it's a bit more shorter than the other bar. Somewhere like that should be fine. And duplicate it. So press Shift D again, rotate it 90 degrees in the y-axis. Place it here in the edge, and then I'm gonna actually move this face up over here so it's not like pointing out, and also this one. Yeah, just like that. And yeah, this one should also be a bit shorter because That's how the board generally is. It's fine, and also duplicate this one now finally over here to this edge. Nothing too neat about this. That's just really simple. Yeah, it's really simple now. I'm just gonna actually show you how it looks now, the full thing. And yeah, now we can actually if you want, you can now add in like some extra details as well, like a chalk piece over here, which also makes it look a bit more cooler, which I did in my final scene as well. As you can see, some chalk pieces. So what I did was just like added in a cylinder. So I can show you how I did that. Before that, let me actually fix this edge over here of this this frame, this wood piece over here, like such. It's fine. And let's add in the chalk piece over here. So press Shift A, add in a cylinder. So RX90, or actually RY90, because we're going to rotate it. I'm just going to scale it by pressing S. Move it up. We're going to keep it over here in this edge over here because this is a bit more extended, that's why. Scale it in the X so it's a bit more longer, shorter. It's actually fine, I guess. Just going to place it over here. Let's actually see from the camera how the scaling looks like on this chalk. It's shouldn't be like too big as well. Yeah, and then you can give this a simple diffuse material because essentially nothing much with chalk. But yeah, essentially that's it with the scene. Now we can move into the rendering. So I'm gonna now save the scene because I did not save it till now. If Blender crashes, then I'm gonna be really angry with it. Let's save it, and now we can move into the rendering. So come in the renders panel, and then we are gonna open up the light path section, change this to be full global illumination, uncheck reflective and refractive caustics so that we don't have much noise, though we are not using any glossy shader. And also open up the sampling. We're going to use 128 samples, which comes by default with Blender 2.77, and clamp indirect I'm going to use 2. And I don't know why, but this scene is like a bit noisy at the end also. So yeah, set that to be 2. And yeah, let's give it a render now. So I'm going to save it, click on render, and I'm going to come back and we're going to see how it looks. So the rendering is finished, and this is the render. A few things which I would like to change was this. I think the text on the board, the background text, like the math on the board, is like a bit too big compared to the final render, as you can see. So you need to play with the scale of the mapping node of the math texture. And also one thing which I found out is the positioning of the camera is a bit glitched out, I guess. The camera is actually positioned, and there's actually some rotation in the y-axis of the camera, which I generally don't use in any scene. That too, which is like related to environment and stuff. As you can see, that it's like 0.684, so I would want it to be like 0, because I don't want it to be rotated and stuff. So that's some of the things which I would like to change. But apart from that, it's looking good. Now we can like go to the compositor and make it look much better now. So I'm gonna use photo editing nodes add-on for that. So go to file, user preferences, add-ons, type in your photo editing nodes, and it's now updated to 3.1 version. So you can download the new version now. So check the checkbox now, and yeah, now we have activated the photo editing nodes add-on. Let's go to the node editor now, and compositor node tree. Check use nodes and check backdrop as well. Okay, let's work with the compositor now. Okay, I'm just gonna actually close this outliner over here and give myself some more room to work now. There's nothing much to do in the compositor if you're using the photo editing nodes add-on. So press Shift A, and then let's actually control the brightness first. So let's add in a brightness and contrast node. So Shift A, color, brightness and contrast. I'm just gonna like place it here. Okay, and I'm just gonna increase the contrast a bit. to be like 0.2 or something. Let's use 0.2. Or let's try, okay, I guess 0.2 is fine. Let's use 0.1 as the brightness also. So okay, and now let's add in a vignette. So Shift A, group, vignette. So this is a node, a group which comes with the photo editing nodes add-on. So I'm gonna decrease the opacity to like 0.8. Let's try that. And now let's use a temperature node. So again, Shift A, group, temperature, place it here, and I'm gonna decrease the coolness a bit, and also the warmth, because we don't want it to be like that strong. Around about that much should be probably fine. Yeah, we want to keep the warmth a bit more compared to the coolness. And what else can we do? We can also add in a focus node just to add in some blur to the edges. So Shift A, group, focus. Just gonna place it over here in the middle. Focus type to be 1, because we don't want that black frame focus, we want that nice blurred focus. Yeah, like that one. And then I can increase the size to be like 1.5. Let's try 1.5. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's like really less. Let's use 3 as the size. Yeah, that's also a bit too much, I mean too less, so let's use 4.5 itself. And yeah, the blur value also, I'm going to increase the blur value to make it a bit more blurred. So I'm going to use like 2 or something like that, 2, and let's also decrease the opacity a bit, like 0.7 or something. And the size is like now too big, let's use 4. Okay, that's the focus and stuff that's added. Let's actually decrease it a bit more, like 3.7. Let's try 3.7. Now I'm gonna also play a bit with the exposure and gamma and stuff. I'll increase the exposure a bit because it's like too less. It's fine, and apart from that, it's all fine. One more thing is like the scene is a bit more noisy, which is one more problem. I guess we should have used some portal lamps and stuff for that. Apart from that, it's actually looking good. We can also control the saturation of the colors. So yeah, color hue saturation value, place it here. Increase the saturation to like 1.1. So we have some nice yeah, saturated colors. I'm going to increase the coolness also, because not that warm also, I don't want that too much warm. Yeah, let's use about that much, it should be fine. And yeah, apart from that, everything looks good. It's 1.5, and yeah, that's actually fine. So I'm just gonna now finally connect this vignette to the composite input, so this is the final render. Now you can go to the UV image editor. So this was the render result, and after post-processing we have got this. So it's really similar to what I got in the final scene. A few problems which I told you, and you can fix those, and you can experiment with this. The only thing is this text on the board, like the background text, is a bit too big, and apart from that, it looks really cool. So I hope you all found this video useful, and I hope you also had a nice time creating this scene. And do post your renders down below in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching, and you can also download all the files used from the link given in the description. And thanks for watching, and please subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks for watching.